Hello everybody, my name is Graham Elwood and you are watching The Political Vigilante. So we just had Memorial Day in America where we honor service members who died serving this country. And two combat vets want to talk about it in a different way. We are combat vets and we want America to reboot Memorial Day. COVID-19 has killed more Americans than the Revolutionary, Mexican, Spanish, Indian, Philippine, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Iraq, and Afghanistan wars combined. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Just that statement alone. The link is in the show notes. It's an excellent op-ed piece. They brought up a lot of great stuff. I'm going to touch on some of it. Please read the whole thing. And he writes columns on truthdig.com, which is a fantastic website. Is it still considered cynical to wonder if people will spare much actual thought for American soldiers still dying abroad? Or question the utility of America's forever wars? Etiquette aside, we think it's obscene not to. What they go into is like, Memorial Day is still talks about Normandy and World War II and all that, which is fantastic, but it's really losing sight of what's going on now. The truth is, today's way of war is so abstract, distant, and short on at least American casualties as to be nearly invisible to the public. Outsourcing combat to machines, mercenaries, and militias rendered war so opaque that Washington wages it absent public oversight or awareness or empathy. Yeah, Memorial Day we just talk about, and we think what? Most Americans think what? Do most Americans know we're still in war in 7 countries? Do we know that we're still in war? We're in our, 19th year of war in Afghanistan? The longest war in the history of this country? It's great to honor fallen vets, but we're just bombing the shit out of everybody. And this is what this article goes in. I give these two vets full credit for writing this. These aren't like lefty anti-war activists, which is great, and we need more anti-war activists. But to hear this from combat vets is really important. Because any of the flag waving, support our troops crowd has to listen to this. What are you going to say? These guys aren't patriotic? You say these guys don't like their country? Is that what you're going to say? I'd like to see you say it to their faces. I would love to see that. I would love to see you show up with some American Eagle hat made in China and say, you're not a good American for writing this article to these guys. I'd love to be there on that day. They talk about the absurd inequality of casualties. The campaigns in Somalia and Yemen best expose the absurd casualty inequity of modern American warfare. In Yemen, just 1 soldier died in combat, compared to more than 100,000 locals, including 85,000 children starved to death. So to anybody out there who thinks Obama and Biden are, Obama wasn't perfect, but he was better than Bush. No, sir. Bush is a liar and a war criminal, and so is Obama and Biden. Obama and Biden are responsible for 85,000 children being starved to death. I really want that to sink in. Let that number sink in. That is a giant stadium full of children that are dead. The LA Coliseum, where the USC Trojans play, holds about this number. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ruin your dinner, but I'm sorry, America, you need to wake up to the fact. I need you to visualize what 85,000 dead kids are. And that started in Yemen. It's Obama let that happen. That's Vice President Biden. Trump, who ran on an anti-interventionist campaign, is keeping this going. So I don't care if you're a Trump supporter, or you love Obama or Biden or whatever. If you support Obama or Trump or Bush, any of them, you're a die-hard Republican or Democrat. This is part of it. You're a God-fearing Christian. Would Jesus do this? Again, these are the words from 2 combat deaths. We lost 1 service member in Yemen to 100,000 civilians, 85,000 children that we just starved to death. We starved them to death. We let Saudi Arabia do it. Trump sold the Saudis $100 billion in weapons. Obama and Biden sold $113 billion in weapons. You think there's a difference with these 2 parties? America is the evil empire. And if Russia had killed 85,000 children, we'd be losing our minds. Putin is a monster. If the Chinese had done this, we'd be like, they're awful. I'm not excusing anything that China and Russia have done, but it's not as bad as this. This is just one of the 7 countries that we're bombing the shit out of, by the way. No one wants to see American troops killed, but a death disparity so stark stretches classic definitions of combat. And bombing and sanctions and blockades and all that stuff, that's just for money and profit. A deadly pandemic and plans for global ceasefire pleas for global ceasefire hasn't slowed Washington's war machine. Still bombing, still sanctioning. Kids are dying every day. 120 children die every day in Yemen. We're sanctioning Iran. We're sanctioning Venezuela because they have oil that they won't give us. Just as memorializing America's obscenely lopsided battle deaths is increasingly indecent, a federal holiday devoted to a labor movement the government has aggressively eviscerated is deeply troubling. They talk about the bookends of the summer, Memorial Day that we just had, and then the kind of unofficial beginning is Memorial Day, the unofficial ending is Labor Day. Labor Day was about celebrating the workers, celebrating labor movements and labor unions. And one of the points they're making, we've gotten so off track, we need to reboot Memorial Day, and we need to reboot Labor Day, what they're for. And another thing they bring up, suicide rate. From 2006 to 2018 alone, 3,540 active duty service members took their own lives. I talk about the 22 veterans a day, but these are active duty service members. When you'd say those non-combat related deaths, it was a lot of times suicide. Sometimes it was like an accident, somebody fell off something, whatever, but it was a lot of this. My friend Scott Kennedy that I went over to Iraq with 3 times to do comedy, he was a stand-up comic. He went over there over 50 times. Very good friend of mine. He died 7 years ago. Told me, and when he set up these tours, we'd do like 3-4 shows in a day. It was crazy. It was great, and it was amazing. We'd go to little fire bases. His goal was to go to all the little fire bases, because the big bases got a lot of entertainment. Not that they didn't deserve it, but the small bases got almost nothing. So his goal was to like go to the little fire bases. And he said one time, one of the bases he went to, the commanding officer said, every time a comedy show rolls through, the suicide rate drops. I didn't realize there were so many service members just taking their own lives active duty. It's easy to do. They got access to a weapon. I had a sergeant who was in command of a bunch of enlisted men go, man, every time one of these guys gets a Dear John letter from back home, I got to take a service weapon away because they're at risk then. Just a fraction of the 15 to 20 daily veteran suicides and another 640 died in accidents involving substance abuse. That's the other thing. You include this says 15 to 20. I've heard 20 to 22 vets a day, and that number, how they come up with that number is they've also factor in like there's some suicide. They factor in suicide by cop. They factor in guys get on really fast motorcycles and just, and it's considered an accident, but they suffered PTSD, the drug addiction that comes with PTSD from the war zones. Faced with unrecognizable brands of war, most people substitute nostalgia and myth. Grappling with war's reality has implications that are too disturbing. Combat vet know how awful it is. Any combat vet knows how awful it is. That's why this is important that it's coming from combat vets. I don't know what combat's like. I'll probably, hopefully, never know what it's like. What I did see was pretty awful. I've met many, many, many wounded service members in Iraq, in Afghanistan, after shows, at the Naval Hospital in San Diego. I went down there a couple Thanksgivings in a row. What I saw was gnarly, and it's nothing to what a combat vet sees. And Americans, we don't see it. It's not on the news. They learned that lesson in Vietnam. At the nightly news, every night they'd show combat footage and people getting shot. And America was like, well, this is awful. Why are we in this war? And they started protesting. So they learned, just don't put war on TV. Just glorify it. And that's what happened. Embed, people like Brian Williams going, oh, aren't those rockets beautiful? Video games, military strike. All the video games that just show, war is this fun video game. There's no video game about guys with PTSD and women, men and women, 22 vets a day, veterans. Support the troops, but send them into these ridiculous wars. That's what the Memorial Day should be. If we don't, to really honor veterans is stop sending them into these ridiculous wars that are only for profit. We spent $9 trillion or some obscene number like that on the global war on terror. Where is it? What happened? What have we done? It's only so Boeing and Raytheon and ExxonMobil can make a profit. Grappling with war's reality has implications that are too disturbing. America is living in denial. America is a bunch of addicts living in denial. We're addicted to war, we're addicted to food and money and capitalism, and we don't want to own it. Like any addict, addicts are in denial. They don't want to own their addiction. They don't want to look at it. They want to blame everybody else or pretend it's not there. Like an addict, oh, I just have a couple of drinks. It's not that big of a deal. No, you drink every day and you keep getting fired and your health is bad. And oh, well, get off my back. Like they don't go, shit. America doesn't want to get sober. Simpler and more satisfying is to commemorate long past sacrifices at Normandy and Iwo Jima rather than the confounding losses in Niger and Iraq. The United States has lost its ethical and strategic way. 2 combat vets wrote that. A virus has now killed more Americans than the Revolutionary, Mexican, Spanish, Indian, Philippine, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Iraq, and Afghanistan wars combined. This nation requires serious soul searching. Reimagining its bookended summer celebrations might be a good start, but it won't be easy. I don't think anybody in the corporate media is talking about this way, because Boeing and Raytheon and Shell Oil and all those companies that profit from war buy ad time. So they can't show you how awful war really is. And if they do show you like a vet that's wounded or disabled or something like that, they'll show it as a like, yay, flag waving service. They won't say, this is awful. Why is this guy having to go through this? Why is this woman unable to be a mom anymore because she has PTSD from being in a war zone? I will. I did 7 comedy tours in war zones. I'm no expert, I'm no soldier, I'm no vet, I'm no combat vet, but I saw more than most civilians would, which is why I wholeheartedly support what these 2 combat vets are talking about. If we don't wake up to the reality of how awful America's war machine is, Trump, Obama, Bush, it keeps going. No, neither party is, both parties are a part of this. Anytime somebody asks you, how are we going to pay for something like Medicare for all or free college tuition, ask them, how come nobody asks how we're going to pay for all these wars? How come the VAs are, there's just, I hear about problem after problem after problem with the VA. We got to wake up and face the reality, America. If we don't do that, we're nosediving quick. Rome fell, so will we. Wake up, get involved, or just sit by and watch it crumble. Thanks for watching the show. You're making Gotham great again. Hey everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.